When a group of girls gather to discuss the events leading up to their friend's death, it becomes very apparent that they all saw those events very differently, and that there are some very dark secrets between all of them. Hello everybody, and welcome to my review of Rikako Akiyoshi's novel, The Dark Maidens. This one is released in English by Vertical. If you'd like to pick up your own copy, I've got links to the book depository as well as Amazon in the description down below. This was released in Japan back in 2013, and in 2017 it had a live-action film based on the book. Now, The Dark Maidens takes place at a very exclusive, private, Catholic all-girls school in Japan, and it focuses on the literature club of this school. Now, the literature club is a very exclusive club, mainly because its president, or, well, shall we say former president, Itsumi, is the daughter of the chairman of the school, so clearly very influential figure. However, she's also a much beloved figure, and of course, this book opens up a week after she has died, which has caused no end of rifts in the school. And so the literature club gathers on the eve of a week from her death, and they hold a special event of what they call a mystery stew, which essentially is they make a mystery stew with different ingredients that all of the members contribute, and as they are making it, each of the members is invited to read an original story that they have written. Now, in this particular setting, Sayuri, who is the new president, who is the former vice president and best friend of Itsumi, has told everyone that the theme she wants for this night's works are to be the tale leading up to Itsumi's death. So each of the characters comes forward to tell their story about how they met Itsumi, how they became a part of the literature club, and of the events that led up to the tragedy of her death. What becomes apparent as all of these stories is told is that A, not everybody is telling the truth. B, nobody really seems to think that Itsumi's death was entirely a suicide or in any way an accident. In fact, whether her death was a suicide but influenced by someone or whether it was all-out murder starts to become a very prominent question and theme of the stories. One of the things that really works for this book is the way that it's structured. It's all told from the first person's point of view, and specifically, and in particular with the character Sayuri, who is the new president, her remarks are directed very toward the reader, as if you yourself are sitting in the lounge of the literature club while this meeting is occurring. And then what we have is each of the members of the literature club taking center stage and telling their story. And then at the end of their story, Sayuri interjects a couple of comments. What becomes apparent then is that all of these stories can contain similarities, but vary in an even greater fashion. And you soon come to realize that really none of these people can be trusted, that they're openly lying or they have interpreted events in their own way. And so you really can't trust necessarily all the things that they say. So as a reader, you're now looking for commonalities. You're looking for the things that occur in the stories that seem to make sense, that are kind of threaded through all of them to try and figure out ultimately what the truth is. Now, it works really well because each of these stories being told by a different character means that each of the stories has a slightly different tone and flavor to it because they're being told by a different person and even supposed to have been written by a different person. So we have sort of a character who is a colder, more analytical individual, and so their story comes across in that way. We have a character who is actually a published light novelist, and so theirs has a little bit more of a flowery and, you know, writing style to it. And so it means that as you work through the book, it always feels a little different. And of course, as I said too, all of these stories are leading up to Itsumi's death. So you have this snapshot in time that most of them cover. It really, really makes the book move very quickly. And it also, as I said, it just as a reader's experience makes you more engaged. Well, I mean, okay, I should speak of my own experience as myself as a reader. It made me much more engaged in the book because it was much more of like an active reading experience because I'm questioning everything as I read it. I'm not just passively reading the words and like being taken along with the story. I'm analyzing, I'm tearing apart, I'm questioning everything that characters are saying. You know, a character interprets a certain event in a way and I say, is there a different way to interpret this? And I start to wonder, will we see this event interpreted in a different way? So it's a much more active reading experience, which I generally think that a number of mysteries are, but because of the way that this one is structured, I'd say it's even more so. The other thing that, of course, makes this book work is the payoff at the end, which, of course, I will not spoil in any way because I really think you should give this book a read. But I will just say that for me, and of course, you know, everybody's going to differ, but for me, I found the ending a bit of a shock, a bit of a jaw dropper, but it made sense in terms of the entirety of the book. It wasn't one of those sort of twist endings that just came out of nowhere and you were like, what the heck? Instead, it made sense with all the different things that you have read and, you know, the way that certain events occurred in other people's takes, you kind of start to see in different lights, but they all make sense. They work. And it's interesting to kind of see how some of these characters, even though some of their stuff are just outright lies, a lot of them are misinterpretations of what they have seen. All in all, The Dark Maidens is a really engaging novel. I enjoyed it quite a lot. In fact, I read it through all in one day, as close to one sitting as I could get, because I just found it so interesting. And like I said, as a reader, it just was such an engaging experience as opposed to a lot of books where you're reading where it just often kind of feels a bit passive. You're just kind of being taken along for the ride. In this one, having myself engaged and being analytical and tearing the book apart and tearing apart the stories as I went along, I found really enjoyable. Now, this is a standalone novel. This doesn't have any sequels or anything like that. It's not a series of novels, so it's a pretty good read that way. It's not incredibly long. It's just over 200 pages, so it's a nice quick read. And like I said, just because of the structure of the book, I found that even upped the pace of the story. So all in all, you know what? This book was a lot of fun, and it had a really good payoff at the end. I'd really highly recommend it if you're a mystery fan, or if you're looking for something just like light novel-esque, but that is very different from the majority of light novels that we have. Probably the Zarigoto series are the closest, just because they are also mysteries set in the real world, so they don't really involve any kind of fantastical elements, but this one's a very, very different kind of mystery from Zarigoto. So again, it stands as being quite unique amongst the Japanese novels that we have translated into English. Now, if you've been following the channel, you also know that I put up a video about 2.5 weeks ago stating that we had the opportunity to ask the author, Rikako Akiyoshi, a couple of questions about her experience as an author and her experience having her book translated and so forth. I've got those answers back, and I'm actually going to be releasing that video as well. So today is sort of the Dark Maidens Day. I will put a card link above my head, whichever side it shows up on, to that video. I invite you to check it out. It's actually really cool because Miss Akiyoshi actually studied, did some of her schooling in North America, so she was able to answer the questions herself. We don't have sort of a middleman translator between ourselves and the author. We are getting the author's words directly, which I thought were pretty awesome, and I've read through her answers, and they're a lot of fun and very informative and engaging, so I invite you to check that video as well. So those are my thoughts on The Dark Maidens. A really excellent mystery thriller. I really enjoyed that one. My next review is going to be on another school life, although hopefully a not so dark and twisted type of tale, and that's going to be Volume 1 of Toradora. This one put out by Seven Seas. Again, part of my let's read as many Volume 1s as I can to get all caught up with the series that I haven't read any of yet. So that's going to be my next review. And if you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, you should consider subscribing. I do 2 to 3 reviews a week, as well as a weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.